When Warhammer, Battletech and Starship Troopers were my games of choice, friends and I would spend an entire day setting up a huge battlefield and then playing out our epic clashes. It seems that over the years everything has scaled down, and I can't help but wonder if the new norm for wargaming is skirmish. Lots of the games that have been announced or released recently seem to be smaller in terms of model count, board size and game length. I recently picked up both Guards of Traitor's Toll and Kings of War Champions. Guards plays with between just 3 and 6 models per side, and Kings of War Champions has you shuffling around just 3 units plus a leader. The last 2 Kickstarters that I backed were Trench Crusade and Strike Team Commander. Again, 2 skirmish games, one of which proved so popular that it raised more money than the GDP of some small countries. Well, I hear you say, that's just your taste in games. I'm not so sure. Other games and supplements that have made a splash recently include Xeogenesis, Halo Flashpoint, Warcrow, Stargrave Death Vector, and lots of new additions are also skirmish, such as Burrows and Badgers. This carries over into historical gaming as well. Chain of Command's new edition remains a platoon level game, and Baron's War is admittedly at the upper end of skirmish wargaming. To gain a new edition, a game not only has to have sold well in the past, but the publishers have to be confident that it will flourish in the current market with the current gaming tastes. What about the big GW-shaped elephant in the room? Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k aren't skirmish, surely? No, but it could easily be argued that Combat Patrol and Spearhead are, and that's without considering Kill Team, Necromunda or Warcry. So if there are more skirmish games on the market, why might that be? Well, I definitely think the game has flipped more from game to game, I know that I do, and a smaller game is not only easier to learn, but to refresh the rules if you haven't played it for a while. That makes it far more likely that it could end up within the rotation of systems that a particular group likes to play. I also wonder if there isn't an element of some great designers who've been working in the hobby for years and years getting a bit older. Now, as lots of designers tend to design games that they would like to play themselves, I think this could have a couple of significant effects. Firstly, I think as people get older, they have more responsibilities with family and so on, so you're probably going to want games that are quicker to play. And secondly, I think as you get older, it is harder to learn and retain new rule sets. I'm not trying to be patronizing there at all. I definitely know that I find it harder to learn new rules now than I did when I was a teenager or in my 20s. It's just a fact of life. Now, this must affect some of these experienced games designers and perhaps is leading them towards designing more streamlined, smaller, skirmish games. All of this may be tilting publishers and designers towards games with fewer models to paint, simpler rules, and a smaller table presence. The first few neoprene mats that I bought were all 6x4. I pretty soon moved on to 4x4 and then 3x3. Kings of War Champions is played on a board that's 2 foot by 3.5 foot. That's half a kitchen table. So if skirmish games are becoming more and more common, are there still bigger games coming out and doing well? Of course. Armoured Clash and Dystopian Wars 2nd Edition both have me really excited. In fact, Epic Gaming seems to be enjoying a boom. I'd also love to see Halo expanded into a full war game. I think that would be great. And you only need to pop into a tournament like Salute to see the enormous, incredible participation games that historical gamers are creating. But it does seem to me that smaller skirmish games are becoming standard for lots of systems. And I wonder if people coming into the hobby for the first time will miss out on those grand epic battles that I mentioned at the start of the video. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I want people to come into the hobby. I want it to be approachable, but there's something incredible, something memorable about those rather self-indulgent, enormous battles that I fought as a kid. I'd hate to think of somebody missing out on those sorts of experiences. I know that some of you are going to have really strong opinions about this, and I look forward to reading about them in the comments. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If so, please consider giving it a like or subscribe. I hope to see you again soon, and until then, Keep rolling.